how are we all doing? We're here for Geek Pride today here in Manchester, and it is the film Comic Con here in Manchester as well. And I'm only here with the legend, the Hollywood icon that is Robert Englund.
That's Mr. Krueger to you, geek breath.
That is Freddy Krueger. How are you today, sir?
I'm a little tired. We went to the Curry Mile last night, and we imbibed a little bit of Indian wine along with the spicy Indian food. But I'm holding it. It's a nice, gentle day here at the con.
Yeah, it's been really good. I watched you earlier on doing the question and answer session. Do you ever, get tired of being asked the same questions year upon year upon year?
Actually, today's questions were quite original. And you're only as good on the Q&A sessions as your audience and the questions they present. The problem is you can't lie. So if somebody asks me for the umpteenth time, how long does it take to put on the makeup, dude? I can't lie and say 15 hours or 20 minutes. I have to tell the truth. But recently, the last couple of years, people have really come in with some great esoteric stuff. And I think partly that's because the platforms are out there now in geek world. The platforms are available for true fans to not only embrace the genre they love the most, but they can now find DVDs and Blu-rays and streaming video and Netflix and iTunes and great gourmet cable access platforms to all the movies made, especially of the 80s, 90s, and most recently, so that films that might fall through the cracks, films that don't get discovered but deserve to, they do eventually find their audience. Talent will out. And they sort of begin as a cult discovery and slowly grow. It might take several years, but eventually they sort of find their audience. I have one called Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. And it's kind of meta, kind of deconstructed horror, movie within a movie within a movie. But it's really found its audience now, and it's an ascending cult classic. And so I have great faith that all of the new platforms are going to really resurrect and give longer shelf life to a lot of the terrific smaller films.
Yeah, there's so many out there. But let's go right the way back to the beginning of what took you on the road to international stardom. How were you approached originally about the Nightmare on Elm Street movies? How did all that come about?
Well, I was what's known as a utility actor in Hollywood during the 70s, and I starred with Jeff Bridges and Sally Field and Arnold Schwarzenegger, Burt Reynolds, Charles Bronson. I worked with Jeff Goldblum, Sally Field, Susan Sarandon, Henry Fonda.
Wow, the
and
true stars.
Real movies and real stars. And I was established, and finally the stigma was lifted in Hollywood for actors going back and forth between television and movies. Now that didn't happen over here in the UK, but it was part of the nature of the game in Hollywood in the 60s and 70s. And Travolta kind of broke it when he went from Welcome Back Kotter to Saturday Night Fever. So I wound up doing a TV series in the early 80s, and people kind of knew my name for the first time instead of just my face. And I was busy being preoccupied with television stardom, if you will, celebrity, if you will, and I had a hiatus between the miniseries V and the traditional series that we were going to film, and the only thing that fit in my schedule was this little film called Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, wow.
And I just went on a basic actor's audition. I took my dipstick out from under the bonnet, the hood of my car, put a little grease in my hair because I was all Peter Frampton blonde then, and muscular, and I greased my hair back, took a little cigarette ash, licked my finger, and with the saliva made a little bit of a charcoal paste and made my eyes look sunken. It looks very real. It's an old actor's trick.
Yep.
Went into the interview and I just played staring games with Wes Craven. I didn't blink. I didn't talk, and as you've gathered, I love to talk. Yeah. And I just stared at him and let him talk. And he, being the raconteur that he is, and the gentleman that he is, he told me this wonderful idea he had. And I think somehow he understood that I got it. They were originally looking for about a 6'4" stuntman. They wound up with a 5'10" actor.
It's the best way. So, how did it come about them, joining franchises of Nightmare on Elm Street and obviously the Jason Voorhees? How did all that come about? Where did all that the idea spawn from to bring these two iconic horror masterpieces together into one film?
Well, that's actually a geek wet dream. Really, it's a geek wet dream. Early geeks, early comic book boys in the 1930s, sitting around on the stairs out in front of their apartment building. What are they saying? Who do you think would win, Spike, if Frankenstein fought the Wolfman? And they made a damn movie about it in 1939. Who do you think would win between Batman and Superman? And they made a DC comic about it in 1940. And right after Nightmare on Elm Street came out, I had kids coming up to me going, man, what would happen, man, if you threw down with Jason, man? And so this thing has been sort of percolating since '84. And the bringing Ronnie Yu, who's a Hong Kong director, into the sort of soup was actually, I think, the sort of galvanizing thing that made the movie happen. But this was a movie made for the fans, inspired by the fans, and their sort of geek wet dream horniness to see that mashup that we now take for granted, but is something that's difficult to do. I mean, when it works great. Like a great graphic novel works well. Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah. It would have been amazing. I know when I went to the pictures to watch it, I just kept thinking, I wish Michael Myers would just make a cameo. Just get Michael Myers in there as well. The three of you, the three icons of horror together in one film. I think that would have been absolutely incredible. Obviously, you're still the number one.
Well, I was sort of hoping for Michelle Pfeiffer in her cat suit. But I take what I can get.
So aside from Freddy Krueger, obviously you're known for a lot of other movies. I mean, one of my personal favourites, Stephen King, The Mangler.
Oh, thank you.
Amazing film. And what has been your greatest achievement aside from being Freddy Krueger? What's your favourite?
Well, I have a movie out right now, and it sounds weird. It sounds like I'm being self-promoting, but I did a movie literally miles from where we sit right now in Chester, here in the UK, and I starred with Finn Jones from the Game of Thrones and the lovely Emily Barrington from White Queen, Sons of Liberty, and of course now she's on the new 24 shooting with Kiefer Sutherland in London. And it's a great little thriller in the spirit of early Brian De Palma and later Alfred Hitchcock. The Brian De Palma of Sisters and Blowout and the Alfred Hitchcock of Torn Curtain. And I play the old, redundant projectionist in a suburban cinema in England, and I'm asked to wait my retirement out, shoveling popcorn in the lobby, and I'm humiliated in my paper hat and my day glow vest, and I hatch a plan to make a horror movie and punish my manager who's fired me. And I use the unsuspecting couple, which is Finn and Emily. And it's just a terrific, terrific film. You'll never eat popcorn again. The last showing.
That sounds absolutely amazing. It's been an absolute honour to talk to you today. And on behalf of everybody out there, it's been brilliant. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger. And I think you need to close it maybe with one of your most iconic phrases.
Read comics or die.
You heard it here.